This is episode 6 of the Salt Circle podcast. I'm Hank, and with me is Ben.
Hey.
And this week we're doing it on the webcomic questionable content.
Real fun to Google. Just a great webcomic to have to type in. Actually, I think since I've started reading it, it's been popular enough that it never caused issues, but I always felt a little weird. Like, if someone came up behind me and was like, what now? What are you,
I mean, it's also just funny because there's like there's really no questionable content of that kind in the webcomic at all.
Yeah,
it was like it was years
PG.
before he even like drew someone in bed under the covers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yep. So
It was a running joke about the strip for a long time.
So I guess we should probably start off by like just summing up what it is,
Yes.
because I'm sure not everyone indulges. It started in 2003?
2003, yes.
Yeah, 2003. It is a webcomic, as we've said. It now updates daily, well, weekdays. And when it started out, it was like twice a week and then 3 times a week after a bit, following the life of what?
I think it's always been 5 days a week since I've been reading it.
Okay,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember when it was. Oh, it says, yeah. I'm looking. It actually does say like in September 2004, he began updating it Monday through Friday. Yeah. I swear to God, when I started reading it, like in
he only read every
or whatever,
like other strip.
No. Probably not. I swear to God, it was whatever. It was a long time ago. Actually thinking about it, it has actually been like 7 years, and that's weird as fuck. Yeah, so the main character is Martin Reed. It takes place in Massachusetts, right? Yeah, East Hampton, Massachusetts. I don't know why I was questioning that, but like I had to stop and think. Maybe it was some other filthy hipster town. I forget. It's Martin, and there's some androids. Like, it's kind of, I guess, current society, or maybe a bit in the future, but there are AI and robots.
He has a robot friend, and then it just sort of builds. He slowly builds the world out a little bit from how it's different. How there are robots. That's just a thing.
It has actually become like, it's not even it's a harem anime is not the right genre here, but it is.
No.
At this point.
There are a lot of characters.
I mean, at this point though, it's like Martin and chicks plus like a couple guys. But for the most part,
there are a bunch of other main characters, but he does focus a lot on female characters.
That's like,
and it builds out, like it'll just follow other characters for long periods of time. It's much less about the main character. Also, originally, like theoretically, the comic was based around him telling jokes about indie music that I never understood, but that's just stopped kind of.
Yeah, he doesn't
just kept going.
Yeah, in the beginning there was a lot of indie references, and then I don't know, it tapered off probably like years ago, probably at this point.
It became much more about just slice of life character stuff. Is really the focus of the strip.
Relationships, friendship problems.
Butt jokes.
Lots of butt jokes.
A lot of butt jokes.
Robot human relations.
Just, good
My
stuff.
jam. That's why I'm in it. Like, I saw there was a little AI guy walking around, and I'm like, ooh, I know where this is gonna go.
I honestly can't say why I've still read it every day, except that I like it. I can't completely
You're
explain,
invested.
because for me,
You're invested at this point.
I got into it back when I was like a long time ago, when I was in college. And it was just one of the comic strips. I was looking for every webcomic I could find.
Sure.
I would read it. And like questionable content, partly just because it updates every day of the week. There's just like, it's just part of my routine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, I'm reading this one every day. And like, I've fallen off of so many webcomics, and questionable content just never fallen off. Just every day, I'm reading that one.
Yep. Absolutely.
It has that compelling power.
I remember, like, I don't know how webcomics are like something that even online, it's not something that comes up that much as like a topic of conversation for me. I guess I was reading XKCD because everybody has read it at some point, probably. I don't know. That one I think came up more. Even some people that like real life friends in high school would occasionally bring it up, despite never really getting into internet other than Facebook. But I think one time there was an ad, or he had like a little bump for questionable content on the site, and that's where I stumbled onto it, I think.
That seems fair.
That sounds plausible,
Like,
at the very least.
I mean, questionable content was much. Well, it was earlier than that for me, but like one of the ways I would find webcomics was webcomic places would just have like a list on their site of, these are other webcomics I think are cool, or I know these people, and I would just go through like all of them and just see what art I liked, or what I liked enough to look at. And I think I feel like questionable contents was like one of those that just had a list that I would go through, but I can't even remember.
Yeah, and see, it
Like,
might not
it feels really early in terms of like what webcomics I was reading, but I can't confirm that because I can't remember where I started.
See, I've said it's XKCD, but honestly, it might have been some random one-off webcomic that like either stopped or I stopped reading it, and it just had it has like the list of like, hey, check these people out, or something.
Yeah,
but it's been like, thinking about it, it has been like almost, it'll be a decade soonish, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, the strip's been running for 14 years, so it was even.
I don't even know what the end game is.
There's not an end game. He's just gonna keep writing it.
Just gonna keep going forever until he dies.
I don't know. Maybe there's an end game, but it doesn't seem like it, because he can always just switch off to different characters when he gets bored of anyone in particular.
That's true. Yeah, sorry. There's like people. I think new people moved in to my apartment, and like I kind of hate them. The guy used to be above me, and like, I don't know, it used to be me and old people, and it was great. And now there's like other people close-ish to my age group, and certainly it is less quiet. But
so did the old people die? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know.
Or did they find the fountain of youth? And
the guy who used to yeah, they're going like nuts. The guy who used to live above me, he would be here like 1 week every other month, and it was amazing. Like, just no one making noise. And then, like, I don't know, one day I just hear people, like, banging, just going at it. I'm like, I think that old guy moved out. Like, I can't actually confirm or deny, but...
That doesn't seem likely. It's probably just him.
I don't know.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I'm confused necessarily for why I got hooked in the first place is you go back to those early strips and that art is real bad.
Yep. The art style definitely, and I've had the couple people that I've got to read it, I'm like, all right. I show them like the latest strip, or I go back until I find one that has 0 spoilers. And I'm like, okay, this is the art style. You gotta remember that this is the art style and has been more or less for a couple years now, at least. And then I like go back to the first comic, and they're like, oh, yeah.
So at one point, the game I like to play was jump back 100 pages at a time. Because we're on page 3,602 as of this recording. So I would just go in, see that number, dip it back by 100, and just see the art just get just drop in quality. I'm like, I remember reading it at this point, and I thought the art was okay at that time, but it's so much better now.
That's because it just kept getting he's kept getting better.
It's just gradual in a way I didn't notice at the time early on.
Yeah, you kind of start. Yeah, it's really gradual.
You would notice certain things. I would notice certain things like characters' hair changing. Obviously, is the big one.
Like when all the characters started getting thick. Dude has a type.
Oh, he's a giant person.
Okay,
have you seen a picture of him?
But yeah. But I don't know. Martin is so scrawny, and then I don't know. I guess
I mean, Martin originally is 4 lines. So
yeah.
He's okay, this rectangle and these 2 outer rectangles.
I also like how
there's a head.
I think I'm trying to remember if there's more. I know there's characters that he doesn't bring up frequently anymore, but I'm just thinking of what the hell. So way back there was the barista or whatever. Was it Stacy or Penny? I forget who it was. I forget her name now, but they just dropped her, no explanation. She just stopped appearing without she supposedly still works at the coffee shop. That is one of the central locations, but just no mention. And
yeah, there have been a lot of characters that just theoretically still exist, but just haven't been in the strip for a long time.
Well, I mean, there's characters some of it makes sense, some of the stuff where it's oh, they broke up with so and so main character.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense. But I think she's one of the few that they just or that he just dropped. We have 0 information on her. She just kind of faded away.
That definitely happens. I'm looking at the character list. I feel like there are characters that aren't even on here anymore.
That would, yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe not. Raven Pitchard just hasn't been in the strip in a long time. Penelope hasn't been in the strip ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think theoretically, those are 2 that theoretically would still work at the coffee shop where
I thought maybe
some of the
Raven
strip takes
had
place. I mean, even less. Did she?
I don't know. I can't even. It's been. That's the thing. When it's been so long in a continuous world. I don't know. Maybe the person did something. Whatever.
Maybe something happened. I don't remember. It's just it's just a thing. There's just a rotating cast of characters.
Yeah.
And then there's Yelling Bird. So
then there's Yelling Bird. Yep. And the turkeys around Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yes, the Thanksgiving turkeys is an annual classic. Yelling Bird is when he can't draw for or whatever reason. He just has a picture of this very angry bird just yelling hateful shit. Is a joke character.
What are your thoughts on the guest comics that he has now and again?
I mean, I like them. Some of them are when they're done by other webcomic artists I know and like. I enjoy those more, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just oh yeah, I recognize this person's art. Yeah, that makes sense.
See, I don't read enough that there's been no overlap for me. So if I open up
Gotcha.
questionable content and it's a guest comic, I'm like, great. I saved this one for last because it's my favorite to read each day. And I went through all my other webcomics, and now I have this shit. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. I have ships, and I want to see them come to fruition, and it's... and then it's like accompanied by a little subtext at the bottom that's like, hey guys, out for a week, enjoy the week of guest comics. Like, fuck. Might as well just stop. No reason to even get online anymore.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, it's still such a thing. Like, his commitment to having a new comic on the page every day of the week, every week for years, is for 10 years plus or whatever. It's very impressive. Like, the regularity. I've seen so many webcomics not do that.
Yep. A lot. Like, I don't know. I think at best I've seen... I think most it's just like a 3-day-a-week thing. And it's because probably that they're just, not as successful, so they can't drop their job.
Mm-hmm. I have one webcomic I read that is updates actually every day of the week.
Okay.
Which is like the other one I still read, which is Dumbing of Age.
All right. Never heard of it.
It's about characters in college, but it's a reboot of his universe of characters that started with other webcomics called Short Packed, and
okay.
The other one had like 3 names as it went along.
I think.
And he just wanted to drop baggage of like when he was a worse comics artist and writer and wanted to like a reboot with his characters he liked.
Sure. That makes sense. Instead of just toughing it out
another one who just, it's like if you wanted to go back to that universe, it starts real fucking rough, and then eventually got good.
Yeah, there's
that one also is just funny to me that's the other one I read because they have the Jeph Jacques and David Willis, who does Dumbing of Age. They have like a imagined internet beef where they just yell at each other and say they hate each other online.
Yeah, you gotta have something. You gotta have someone to yell at.
Fake internet beef. It's a thing.
I'm forgetting if we just talked about it in a conversation or if it came up on one of the other episodes when we were talking about like abrupt ends to webcomics.
I don't remember.
Maybe was I even talking about
it wasn't
that? Was I talking?
It wasn't. We didn't talk about abrupt ends. We talked about abrupt dips of, oh no, this is terrible now.
Okay. Was that on a podcast?
I think so. I think that was on an episode.
Shit. Only like not even 10 episodes in. Can't remember what's been discussed.
I'm 90% sure it was on an episode. The control delete thing came up, I think. But
yep. Well, me and we had the conversation. That's
I mean,
really
yeah. I mean, by the format of this podcast, you can't really assume people have listened to any other one anyway, though.
Yeah. Like each episode, we just have to pretend that nobody's listening has ever listened to any other episodes.
I mean, that seems accurate. That's how I used to live my life. No one has ever listened to anything.
Pretend that
I certainly can't
done or
remember
met anyone.
anything, so
yeah. Rolling all my classes, like sit down, person sits down next to me. Who the fuck are you? Where's the girl I talked to yesterday?
That was a dream, Ben. No one talks to you.
People talk to me. Talk to me less and less though, because we do these bullshit like game exercise things in my Russian class, and I've been taken first the last couple of times.
What?
Okay.
Game exercises?
Okay.
Where people don't talk to each other?
Do you know of a game called Kahoot?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, you're missing out. Essentially, I'm sure there's some other bullshit way to play it, but stuff comes up on the screen, and then you have the app on your phone, or you can go on your computer or whatever. Questions on screen, you like hit the corresponding thing with the answer you want to give. It's all like multiple choice stuff or true false. And you get points for answering right and how quickly you answer. And I've been doing the best because I am the best.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice little digression. That's how I like to play it. And then when I get back from Russian class, I really start my day by cracking open the latest issue of Questionable Content and seeing what goes on in that day's strip. And we're back.
Sort of, I guess.
I brought it back.
Brought it back.
I swung us around. The one thing that I don't know how I feel about yet is all right, so in the beginning we have, well, not very beginning I suppose, but we have Pint Size, who is the main character's little companion AI, doesn't really have hands but has little orb things, like cutesy AI, whatever. Little robot fella.
Like cutesy sociopath AI. Like,
yeah,
like evil robot friend.
Yeah. Evil, yeah, like malicious, but
not. Yeah.
A little bit malicious, depending on the year.
He's an asshole.
Comic. Yeah,
he's
an
a piece
asshole.
of shit.
He's an asshole, but like can't do quite enough to like warrant throwing him out.
It's mostly he's interested in jokes and making people uncomfortable. It feels more like that too.
Yeah, and there's definitely like references to him trying to make people uncomfortable, and they're just like, yeah, like okay,
yeah,
it's been like 10 years, whatever.
Like we're over it.
Yeah,
because I feel like the strip is over it to an extent.
Oh yeah. So there's Pint Size, and there is another character's little very clearly iPod descendant sort of thing, like Winslow. It's a little talking iPod thing. And then the other one was a the weeb AI named Momo, who is just like a little chibi anime thing,
little anime girl with pink hair, which is like what Jeph Jacques is like avatar on Twitter. It was always like before he made that character, I think. Even
all right,
it's just like a thing he liked drawing.
Sure, that makes sense. I'm just imagining like him just doodling random like it for those, like, I'm assuming that most people listening don't know what he looks like. Like, he's a pretty big dude, lots of tattoos, like ear gauges, the whole 9 yards. So imagining him just like sitting at a desk drawing little pink-haired chibi anime thing.
And butts. You have to, and butts, that and butts are like the two. It's too clearly, if he's just fucking around.
Yeah,
things he tends to.
So we kind of have those as, I suppose, like, unless I'm forgetting anyone, like those are kind of the three main AI characters that were. I mean, right now we have some that are more humanoid. Like there were a couple more AI characters introduced that have very humanoid bodies, like proportionate, whatever.
Yeah, and like Momo and Winslow have recently gotten their bodies replaced with more humanoid bodies.
And that's what I want to talk about. I don't know, like at the time, for Momo, I guess I didn't care. Momo's for lack of a better term, human body, came earlier in the strip, and I was totally fine with that. Like, that's a fine arc, and I enjoy it. Winslow felt, I don't know, like when that came up, when he was like, "Yo, I want a real body too." I guess I understand it, but
I mean, I was like, "Yo, that character is way due for a redesign." I
suppose, yeah. I guess it's just because we hadn't seen him in so long that I was like, eh. But yeah, he's definitely been featured more now. Featured more in like the last couple of months than he has been in the previous
and I mean
3 years or whatever.
Like, and to the extent that he had a character, he just like friends with Momo, and like Pint Size would pick on him. And like if you're gonna keep him being friends with Momo, you kind of need to update him too.
Just like, what are they gonna do with pint size though?
Pint
Like,
size is just pint size.
pint
I mean, he
size is
just
ever
wanted
gonna
a
be
big
human?
metal dick. That's the upgrade he
That is
wanted.
like- it is like
this is
stipulation.
character. I don't think he's getting changed. I doubt it.
I'm kind of sad that they like stopped doing stuff with cake mix. Like that was a thing. AI character eats cake mix, like shorts itself out.
Oh, how many times can you do that joke?
Like you could probably gun for it like once a month. I'd be fine with it. A little cake mix in here.
No.
It doesn't even have to be like, you don't even have to acknowledge, like just have pint size in the background of a panel, like with cake mix in the kitchen. That's all I'm asking for.
As I said, Bo, with the progression of the strip, originally any kind of questionable content was like just not a thing in the strip. These days, you have Pint Size asking for a giant metal dick to be built for himself, and characters who grew out of Robot Shop going, "All right, we'll make you a giant metal dick."
You got cash? Yeah. Okay. I guess we can't
All
be
right.
choosy.
Started a business. It's got to be done.
All right.
Fun
So,
times.
I mean, one of the main, for me anyway, one of the main attractions is the relationship aspect and who's dating who at the current time. You got any ships? Got any of those OTPs I keep hearing about?
I kind of just don't like whatever characters happen to get together. I'm fine with. Honestly, I mean, for a while I shipped Faye and Martin, but like that's a long time ago at this point. I just wanted that over with more than anything, and I'm fine with that they're not actually together. Like that's okay. Honestly, that was the one.
I'm gonna retro.
I actually kind of shipped Hannelore and Martin a little bit just because I liked her, but like I also get that she can't actually be with people. She's so OCD. Doesn't
Okay, so
can't deal with the human form.
what I'm
It's
hearing here
biologically
is that,
messiness. But yeah,
basically, you would have been fine with Zutara. That's what I'm gonna take away from this. If you don't have any ships in the webcomic about ships, I just don't know what to do with this. But yeah, like Hannelore and Martin would be cool. I mean, Hannelore is the OCD, like, needs everything to be super clean, can't deal with, like, being hugged and stuff, though she has gotten better and better as the strip goes on. Like, she has a regular job now. I think at some point she's going to have a relationship with a human. I
mean,
think
maybe.
that's the progression.
like maybe, yeah, that could happen. I don't know. I don't know though. That would be cool. See her in a relationship. I would like that. That would be cool progression for a character who's struggled with.
Yeah,
OCD
it'd have to be
but-
tentative. Like, if just suddenly, if it was one of those things where like, okay,
Yeah,
like
it
she's
wouldn't.
actually, it's like
It would be
Really-
it would have to run to write that story.
yeah. Well, I'm just imagining how I think that was along with people constantly asking him where what's her name went, whatever barista that would just like faded away. He's like, yeah, she's
Sarah?
gone. Yeah, I think was it Sarah? Sure, whatever.
That was
Not important to the
early
story.
character in the coffee shop. You could only find with the really early art style. Just like was in a couple strips and then gone.
Yep, she's just
He's just done with that
like,
character.
people asking about her, and then he said it. I don't know. And this is something I actually hadn't noticed until he pointed it out. Like early in the strips, the character Faye used to she never used contractions. Was that her shtick?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she used to like never use contractions, and then eventually he's like, "Yeah, this is stupid." So just kind of like stop.
Like the thing, she was like, because she was speaking in a forced accent, because she had a southern accent she was suppressing that only came out when she was drunk.
Yeah. But if he did something like that with Hannelore, where it's like, yeah, okay, it's silly, like that'd be real bad. And I don't think he would do that, but just the arc of her getting into a tentative relationship and like dealing with that and stuff would be really. That'd be like a 10 out of 10.
Look, because we have on record, she liked fireman porn.
Yep. Yeah, we have that.
This is just before anyone gets
It's canon.
thinks like
It's
I'm just
canon.
making this out of nowhere of she wanting to get with someone. No, she's just very, very OCD and can't actually deal with human beings in actual reality. But
yeah, she did get hit on by a space station.
it's true that she wasn't into that.
Yeah.
She's like her father created robots. Like she's a weird.
Her uncle works at
reckless.
Nintendo, basically. Like, is what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's just it's weird when like the strip is often. It's like kind of less now. It's like gotten much more focused on the robots recently, but it was like so often it was just like this could have just been the real world, but just occasionally, oh yeah, there's a character who grew up in space and could have a satellite
like
kill someone if like they messed with her or whatever.
And there has been, I think he said a couple of times that he does have, I guess, some sort of system and details about AI and like laws and all that stuff, because it does come up occasionally, like AI rights and all that.
I'm sure he's thought about all that world lore stuff, but like it shows up in the comic naturally. Either it's gonna show up or it's not.
And most of the time it's butts, so it doesn't really have a place in the.
Exactly. There's too many fart jokes we got to make, guys.
I could dive into some of the like consequences and pros and cons of a society where AI function basically like people, or I could do a fart joke and have pint size get a big dick.
He suffers from Butts disease. It's okay. I think that's the joke. It's just been described. It's like it's a condition he suffers from.
Butts disease. Yeah, I remember
to make butt jokes.
I remember I got my friend to read it in high school, and she was like, she read it for like, I think at first maybe she wanted to see if she would get into it, and she just kind of like hit random on the strip a couple of times, just like jump around and see if it's like, yeah, okay. And eventually she got hooked, of course. But after like clicking random a couple of times and sitting there for however many minutes, she's like, this dude really likes butts. Like, not even boobs, just like he's an ass man, like through and through. Like, yep.
Accurate. Accurate.
And then he also does he has another webcomic, right? Like he started another thing.
He did.
I never looked into it at all.
I mean, he updated it once a week, so I couldn't get into it.
Oh yeah, that's once a week. Okay. What shitty kind of content only comes out once a week? That's not worth it.
I know. How can you stick up with anything?
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's a webcomic. You click on a page, you read a strip, and it had like setup issues. So like there's like, oh, here are 4 pictures of a windmill. Great.
That's this week's comic. Stop back next time.
I mean, that was like the first strip, and I'm like, okay. I mean, eventually I assume something will happen here, but
you assumed wrong.
I got it on the ground floor, and it was, the concrete. They're just pouring concrete, and I was like, all right, this isn't doing anything for me, and did not get added into my
my
rotation.
I didn't even like try to really keep up with it. I'm like,
And again, like my rotation is like 2 comics that I check every day currently, compared to like when I started, I was reading.
Oh, you hit up like everything. Yeah, there was like, I don't know. There's some that I really enjoyed that just fizzled. I don't know. I don't even know if it was a hey, real life is happening and I have to like stop making the comic, or if it was more of a thought I could keep this up for longer than I could sort of deal. But there was at least like 4 that I would read and I was really into, and they just stopped. Like full on midway through the arc, just with no comment whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing was when I was getting into webcomics, the story-based ones were not as common as they became. It was, and they was much webcomics were much more, or the space of webcomics I was looking at was much more, felt like newspaper comics, but like better.
Okay.
There were a bunch of other story ones I read, but that was kind of the idea, that they're more jokey, so they're easier to fall off of if I just was less interested in those jokes or whatever.
I still think,
and the other story ones I read like either finished or got bad or whatever.
There's like, okay, so I do questionable content, and then Gunner Craig Court. Do you know it? Do you read it at all? Okay, cool. If it updated daily, I think I would like it better than questionable content. But naturally, it does not update daily. So I think it's 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as you do.
Yeah. One of the other ones I was reading, like that I kept with, that kept an irregular update schedule. Which is maddening. But it was so good that I kept going with it. Was Octopus Pie, but that like just ended this year.
Okay, that actually, when you said like newspaper strip earlier, that reminded me of one called Peter and Company. Had kind of I guess a bit more, not coherent, more of a story driven, but felt like Calvin and Hobbes. And it was really good. And for a while it was update every Monday. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then it changed to like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that happened pretty regularly for a couple weeks. And then it updated like once every 4 months. And it was just the worst because it was actually pretty good. But I haven't checked on it in probably like, I can't remember. It might actually be a year. I should probably look into it. Catch up, do my yearly read through. But I think
the one that I can't understand why I don't just read every day is the one that I love is Dinosaur Comics, which has a hilarious, because I really like that writer, but it's just the format is just the same picture every day, the same like clip art dinosaurs, and it's just whatever he feels like writing about that day. It just has a rhythm to it that I love. It's
content in its purest form.
Also, that guy writes for Marvel Comics now.
Oh, okay. So
he writes Squirrel Girl.
I see. Just a slut.
I mean, I also owned books he's written. He's written some choose your own adventure books based on Shakespeare. Like, what if Hamlet was a choose your own adventure book where you got to play as Hamlet, Olivia, or King Hamlet's ghost?
Oh,
very funny stuff.
I would not have guessed that it existed. I suppose. Today I learned.
It's good stuff. Ryan North he once got stuck in a hole with his dog.
How big was the hole?
I mean, it was pretty big. It was just like sloped. It was like a skate pit, I think, or something.
Okay. Wait,
and
skate pit or snake pit?
Skate.
Okay.
Or something.
Less dangerous, less exciting.
And he had something wrong with his leg, and his dog were in there, and they were stuck. And it was like a Twitter story. It's a famous story. Ryan North gets stuck in a hole.
Amazing.
Look it up. It's good times.
Keep you on the edge. It's like a webcomic in and of itself.
He also wrote the Adventure Time comic for its first 18 issues or something.
Oh, okay. Cool. I still can't believe that Saga isn't a webcomic. I still can't believe it.
Well, how can you not believe it?
Because I'm so
I mean,
mildly
the art is really good.
Like, I was like, holy
too
shit,
good.
this is a really quality webcomic. Like, they're putting in effort.
You mean actual comic book that sells in stores. You're pirating it, you monster.
I wasn't pirating it. Someone else pirated it. I just saw it. I just looked with my eyes. I didn't even download it. It was just up in a gallery. Okay, so I suppose the reason why I didn't question it is one of I think objectively the best webcomic I read, and probably the best that I've seen, like from a story, effort, world building point, is Unsounded.
Unsounded. I don't know that one.
I'll link you my favorite page from it.
All right.
It's like I think the artist put just the blank like strip, like, or just a blank page on DeviantArt, and I saw it. They're like, yeah, this is the latest strip for my webcomic. I'm like, well, I'm reading this, and this is happening now. And then I saw the dialogue for it, and I'm like, this is actually consistently my favorite page from any webcomic ever. It's just real tasty. But she goes into has a whole political system set up. I think has done at least one conlang for it. The only downside is that I think she doesn't do it as a full-time job or anything. So
Gotcha.
after each I guess book, I forget what she calls them, but book 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. She takes a couple months hiatus. So it's fine because it's announced and planned and everything, but I'm still come on. Come on. But since January, come on.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite was probably Octopus Pie before that just ended. And then probably...
Was there actually Octopus Pie, or was it just a name?
It was just a name. It literally meant nothing. It was like slice of life.
Okay.
Characters who had postgraduate and were just working crappy jobs and, character growth and stuff.
Yeah. That
again, character driven,
yeah,
long standing relationship stuff.
I was gonna say that's
but
really
well
all
done.
I need,
It also, growth. As it got later into it, it would mess with its form a lot more. Instead of just being a set size every time, she would do longer pages.
Okay.
The woman who wrote and drew it, and just to experiment with stuff.
There's some of that in Unsounded. Occasionally it's just a massive picture that you scroll down through. And sometimes it the art actually encompasses the entire screen of the website. And I don't know, she does some cool stuff now and again. I like that.
Yeah, I mean the woman who did Octopus Pie, I think her name's Meredith Graham. It's her day job is now a comics professor at a college. So.
Oh, okay.
So she's more interested in. So the forum stuff was her experimenting with stuff.
Gotcha. That's cool.
I think she's making an adventure game now. Is going to be her next thing. Now that her webcomic ended.
An actual game?
Like a point and click
game,
yeah. She was working on animations for characters last time I checked in on what her updates were. And I missed that webcomic.
You know what this just dredged up some memories of? It's all starting to come back. And I might have to throw up. Homestuck.
Okay.
That was a regretful thing I did.
I've never read it.
Yeah, don't.
That was one where I looked at the first page and was this art is terrible. I'm done.
Yeah, I see.
I probably got to it a little too late in my after my voracious period where I would read anything regardless of the art and had gotten a little more picky.
Sure. So my friend was really into it.
I also didn't know anyone who was into it, so that's
yeah. and she showed me some stuff from later in it. I'm like, this is solid. And basically what I don't know. It's one of those things where it just went for way too long. Like, I let it go for way too long. And before I was like, you know what? This is not actually worth it in any way, shape, or form.
It just you read too much of it before you realized you weren't enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, I mean, I don't know. Do you follow Adventure Time still? Do you watch it? Keep up with it?
No, I've stopped watching mostly since what's her name, who created Steven Universe, left the show. I've been less interested in it.
Okay.
She did my favorite episodes of Adventure Time.
I just, in the earlier seasons, and this is kind of my takeaway, you had the fantastic opener, you had the generally fantastic season close, and in between was mostly riffraff with a couple of gems. And minus the good openers, that's kind of how Homestuck felt. Like, you had these really cool ending acts, like fully animated, gorgeous music, like not even a page at this point. It's just straight up a video, and usually some feels. Like, it was pretty good. But the rest of it was just shit. Like, it's just garbage. It's just convoluted fuck about.
Was it like jokes you just didn't like, or like just silliness?
It's like a mixture of like rawr I am to dinosaur and then like just stupid. It's one of those things like it's like how some people view Inception. It's convoluted and like really weird, so it must be good. Like, complex things are cool. No, it's trash.
Inception is terrible. That's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's meh.
Yes, it's a mediocre movie. It's a mediocre heist movie because all its structure, all these layers to it. It's literally, in this layer nothing's happening. In this next layer nothing's happening. But in this bottom layer, like, stuff is happening. But it's like building on and like cutting back to nothing happening.
Yeah,
it's not that complicated a structure. It's not managing anything in terms of the structure of the movie. And as a heist movie, I just wish, you have to have a crew. You have to have a varied crew of characters, and that movie just doesn't have it. So it's okay as a heist movie.
I mean, the other problems with Homestuck is like they killed off some people, and it was like, all right, I am perfectly okay with characters I like dying because it is an emotional thing, and emotions are cool when taking in media. But then they brought like everyone back as ghosts, and it turns out death doesn't matter ever. So like I couldn't even have my feels. It took that from me. And just, I don't know. It was a dark time in my life.
So you're telling me it's Dragon Ball Z?
Apparently.
Or Naruto.
It might as well be.
I mean,
it's like the Naruto of webcomics. If someone tells me they read it, I can just write them off.
I mean, my experience with it was one year I went to anime conventions and everyone was dressed as Kingdom Hearts characters. The next year, everyone was Homestuck was the super popular thing. Everyone was cosplaying. So
I mean, that's because it's
basically indistinguishable to me from Kingdom Hearts, is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Which I've never played those games.
Meh.
In terms of the original characters, I mean, like, I know who Daffy Duck is.
I would hope so.
Not Daffy Duck. Donald
all
Duck.
The same. They're really same.
Look, they were only in one movie together.
The same duck.
I think Roger Rabbit's the only movie they're in together. I'm not aware. I'm not sure. Yeah, neither of them wear pants.
I think
one of them wears a shirt and a hat.
I don't know why I find that clarification so funny. Which one? Which one is which? Who wears the hat?
I mean, Daffy's been known to wear a hat occasionally.
Yeah.
He's also, I think he's wearing pants. I think he's worn pants. He was probably like Robin Hood.
That's just like the, oh my God. What's the difference between the two? Well,
one was a Nazi and one was Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Whatever. Scrooge McDuck is a better character than Donald Duck.
Absolutely.
Scrooge McDuck is the quintessential American character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the quintessential American character would be like more poor though. Quintessential American ideal.
Yeah. The quintessential American hero.
There you go. Okay, sure. Did he actually? Okay. Do we have like backstory? Do you know any backstory and lore on Scrooge McDuck?
He started dirt poor.
Okay, so he is actually like what everyone
He's an immigrant.
Told the Rockefellers were.
He's an immigrant who rose from nothing to become super rich.
Holy fuck. When did Scrooge McDuck first come about? Like in media?
I don't remember when he could start.
I'm just wondering if it's long ago where he served a narrative purpose to make poor immigrants in America think they had a chance.
1947 was when he started.
Okay, so like a little late, but still. Okay. Nice.
I mean, also, there Scrooge McDuck comics about how capitalism is fucked up. Like, don't take it as he's... Karl Barks was... Scrooge McDuck comics are like actually great. It's less so in the cartoons with him. It's mostly in the comics that are like, those are super well regarded.
That makes
great
sense.
Comics. Yeah. The cartoons kind of scrub stuff a little too neatly, as they are wont to do.
Oh man, I love DuckTales. Have you read the manga though?
Yeah, exactly.
Subs or dubs?
That's a different argument.
It's close enough.
No, people who can't deal with subs because they don't like to read. I can't.
Yeah,
can't deal with. Just because it's not that much reading. It's not actually a lot of reading.
There's
okay. I get it if you're watching garbage. Like, I'll watch Pokemon dubbed. I'm fucking. If I'm gonna like play a video game and watch fucking garbage, then I'd probably prefer it. If like I didn't have to look at the screen and I could not pay attention to it. But otherwise, if I actually like a thing, I don't care.
I'm gonna
go with the better voice acting.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit mean of me to say, but
sure.
Now and again, people are like, "Oh, I would watch subs, but I don't want to just be looking at the words the whole time." If your like words per minute for reading is like so low that you can't like glance at the words, see what they are, and then see the picture behind them, maybe you should watch more subs so your reading levels go up. Like, just a thought.
The other thing for me is I would watch movies with my parents all the time, and I watched enough like just other foreign movies that I was used to subs before I ever got into anime, so I never thought of it as a thing.
Okay.
Because I was totally used to watching subtitled stuff before I discovered anime.
Gotcha.
It's like watching Spanish movies or whatever.
This is actually like looping way back to the topic we were supposed to be talking about. Has questionable content ever been translated? Is that a thing?
I don't know if people on the internet are translating this comic into German or whatever. I'm sure someone has at some point translated parts of it at least.
Like fan project sort of thing. I don't know. It's just a thought I had. Or even like webcomics in general, like bigger ones, like, you know, once a month indie comic isn't probably going to have it unless it started in a different language. But like XKCD or something. He did XKCD. That guy had the I didn't he have like books where you could get them in like any language, and it just had. Yeah, it had like objects with the word next to them, so you could tell what they were or something.
I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't help you.
I'm pretty sure
The only webcomic I can think of being translated wasn't originally in English, which was that like I think One Punch Man started as a webcomic first.
Holy shit! Really?
I think so, with like terrible art, and they redrew that entire thing.
That explains why I like it so much. It's a webcomic. This makes sense now. I knew there was something good about it. Like something special at its core. I could sense it. That's why I was drawn to it.
Yeah, it began as a webcomic.
Nice. Just like
and I
Saga.
think they redrew the entire thing for manga volumes also.
Nice.
Like just because it was not. If you look at those drawings, they're not. There's a charm to them, but it's not
it's not
professional level.
It's like early questionable content. Like,
I mean that's a big thing with questionable content. It's like I can't recommend people. It's so hard to recommend because I think you look at those early strips.
I think it's fine. Like if I was starting over again, I don't think I would mind too much, but I skip those years if I go back and like read earlier stuff. Like I'll just
I remember when he first put out like a book collection. It's like, oh, I kind of like questionable content enough to own a book of it, but it'd be the first parts of questionable content you're putting in this first book, and I don't want that. I don't actually want to. I
actually do have the first volume.
Okay.
Like the soft, which I then got kind of pissed about because then he re-released it in hardcover.
Oh.
I was like, God damn you.
You fucked up.
They're just, he like released, what was it? I think the hardcover ones have a wider range as well. Like they cover more in each volume. So,
gotcha.
Like son of a bitch.
Webcomics
At some point I'll probably get them.
In print are Octopus Pie, Dinosaur. I have a thing of Dinosaur Comics in print. I have a thing of Cyanide and Happiness in print.
Nice.
Which is really funny to me. I think that's it. I might have something else that I can't remember off the top of my head.
I have the 2 or 3 now volumes of Unsounded. For each volume, like she doesn't just get print; she does a Kickstarter. And I think like it's a pretty low base goal, and then I think it's just like she will order exactly that many.
Yeah, that's the way webcomics do print these days. That makes sense. Oh no, I also own this webcomic I read, Rassel. No, not Rassel. Rice Boy. Rassel's a different comic. Rice Boy is another webcomic I own. Because that's just one story through for one volume. And that was one that's like that was one of the first ones that was like, fuck, this art is just great. It's like this is a kind of, there's an epic plot here of just like a hero's journey type thing, but I just like looking at this.
Gotcha. There is actually a print version of Homestuck.
And it makes sense. It's popular. Like, does it put a video? Does it come with a DVD?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about that. Like
for the music.
Some of it they interact with like the fact that you have to click next each time. And that like they do some weird shit there, which is annoying as fuck. But yeah, like the best parts of the webcomic are actually videos with music. So I'm wondering how they'd go about that. Huh. Yeah, that would be like the biggest disappointment. Not even
digitized
like a kickbook
video. Yeah. Those comics that like just take screen grabs and put word balloons over them.
Oh no. That would be awful. I would feel so slighted if I had purchased that.
I saw a volume of Akira that was like that, of the movie.
Really?
Screen grabs of the movie with dialogue put over it.
Oh, that
bad.
sounds...
That's not the way to experience.
Actually, like, okay, that's not the way to experience something, but that is if you had the money to get it made as like a nice looking book. Like, imagine you unwrap.
It was also really low quality. It was
Yeah,
I don't know else will say.
Imagine you unwrap a nice Christmas present. Like, oh, sweet, this feels kind of like a thick comic book or a graphic novel of some sort. And you open it up, and it's in screenshot word bubble format the entirety of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I mean, that just sounds like a collector's item.
Something to read with the kids every year.
Something to do cocaine off of.
All the Wookiee parts fully transposed.
Honestly, the part about that special that gets me the most is Leia's face. She's just... Her smile is too big. It's too big.
Well, when you're on cocaine, like for probably the duration of the film,
it's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Also, the thing's awful.
Yeah, obviously, yes. Aside from the fact that it is a terrible film.
Film is too strong. That's giving it too much credit.
I would watch a questionable content movie. It would be, I don't think it'd be difficult to do.
I mean, you just you'd have to pick a structured plot, though.
Yeah, like you'd have to do an arc probably. Mm-hmm. Maybe two. Just have it be like Berserk. You take the like happiest arc with the harshest ending you can find, and you turn that into the thing.
It's like you
leave everybody hanging, so they got to find the.
Then you make the CG version that everybody hates.
Yeah. What a great future for that webcomic. It's going places. I'm telling you.
I think it's just gonna keep trucking. That's my prediction.
I think it will. I just want to know like what happens. Like if he's just gonna be like, you guys have been living with these characters for like 50 fucking years. It's done. Like just no ending. Just call it.
I'm sure he would write an ending if we were gonna end it. I mean, maybe he has an ending in mind. I don't know. I don't even know.
Pint Size gets his giant dick, starts helicoptering, and like everybody dies. Like that's life.
Exactly. Then Pint Size destroyed the world.
Yeah, it ends with the singularity happening.
I did read a webcomic by someone who is super into the idea of the singularity.
You what?
I read a webcomic but the author was just super into the singularity.
Oh, it was like a main thing?
It's like it was a weird.
Did it happen,
comic.
or did they keep coming back to it?
I don't even remember. It's been too long. I just know he was super into the singularity. It was actually the art was good. Was
okay.
The thing. It's Dresden Kodak, and it wasn't. It didn't always have a plot.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
There's a girl with a robot arm.
Oh, okay. You got my attention.
She might have had blue hair even. I don't remember.
Don't fucking don't tease me like that.
Could have been black. I don't remember. It could have been black drawn as blue.
It's all one and the same, really. Tread lightly, my friend. Yeah. I don't want to binge read a comic right now. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, his site is hard to navigate. I think it was back when he was just doing one-shot things. I don't remember. Yeah, this is definitely... I think she had black hair, but it would be colored blue.
It's all the same in my mind.
But occasionally he'd do like weird color things where it would just be like the comic would mostly be 2 colors and then her hair would just be black. So it would vary.
Okay, so that like
sometimes
so
it's
you're
black.
You're telling me that they're like occasionally it's blue and occasionally it's shit tier. This is what I'm hearing right now. Like, all right, full on spoiler alert for Life is Strange. I killed that town because Chloe had blue hair. Like, I found out how far I would go. And the answer is pretty damn far.
So I take it you have no interest in that prequel because she doesn't have blue hair in it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, aside from the fact that it's a different voice actor, yeah, no blue hair, no Ben. Fuck off.
Scab labor doesn't factor in.
The what?
If she had blue hair, I don't think. Well, it's a different voice actor because of people not working union.
Yeah.
So technically scab labor.
I mean, whatever. I don't care.
That's because you're a monster.
I don't care about politics.
It's because you're a monster. All right. I think that's a podcast.
It's enough of a podcast. I can't tell if we derailed less or more than
I think
the Airbender.
I think more. We derailed a lot on Airbender. I'm not sure.
Maybe as much, but in this one it was probably half questionable content and then half derailment instead of just like constantly looping back.
Yeah, I just didn't have interest in recounting plot detail points of QC. I was more interested in it as like a piece of webcomic stuff anyway. So
yeah, like just the fact that it's been going for ages and
I've been reading it for a long time.
Been reading it for a long damn time.
Again, like I don't have ships. I don't actually have strong emotional connections to it, except it's been a part of my life for over 10 years. And I still check it every day. And then like enjoy it
a monster
every day. I enjoy it every day. Yeah. But that's gonna do it. So
yeah, reasonable.
You can find it. You can email us at saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us at soundcloud.com/saltcircle, where you can leave a comment or whatever. You can find us at Twitter at saltcirclepod. I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
Sorry, I was chuckling.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter at bean_LP.
Gotcha. Okay. What are we chuckling about?
I was remembering the fact that Hank is actually an old man and fell asleep in his chair before this whole thing started.
Yeah, I'm apparently 6 years old. I'm apparently my dad. I just sit in a chair and fall asleep immediately.
We started 15 minutes late. Or we were supposed to.
Technically, we started 40 minutes late because I was totally ready at time. Then you messaged me, and then like
I asked you if we could start at 6:30, and at like 6:15, I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm ready now. I'm early." You just didn't respond for like half an hour.
I fell asleep. Look, the problem was I was watching Purge. Okay, man has a soothing voice, talking about looking at spreadsheets about Dota numbers.
Excuses.
Whatever. Peace.
Laters.